Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 369 of Stu and the Nun. But tonight it's Stu, Doug, and Rob. Rob, the unpaid producer. Doug, the Shard, probably one of our top fans and guests and owner of Gear for Grunts, one of our sponsors. So we've got we're on tonight, and welcome, guys. Good to see you.
But love for you guys.
So yeah. How
great
you guys
seeing
doing?
You both.
How's it going?
I think I'm fighting some kind of lame head cold, hanging in there. Other than that, everything's nominal. How about you guys?
Good. You're a little broken up, but I got you. Yeah. Oh, don't be getting sick on us. Yeah. Don't be bringing back the COVID.
I know.
The only thing I'm fighting is the heat.
My plague 3. My plague 3 shot's failing me. It's failing. It's not keeping me well.
How is the heat in the Arkansas studio?
It has been in the 90s lately with the heat index in the triple digits. And the humidity is just outrageous. Yeah. I mean, in the mornings, it's like 93% humidity.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, that's Texas weather. That's for Doug. That Doug's like that. He's like, that's a cool breeze day.
Hey man, it's pretty much the same here, Rob. We actually had rain today, so that's pretty cool. But it just makes it more humid. So, but
yeah. Well, So, we're going to talk tonight. A lot of current events, obviously. A lot happening. The last couple of days between Congress and trials and B-2 bombers, July 4th. You name it. But you did mention something, Doug, that made me think I wanted to ask about. I saw a report the other day that there was a Yale study of 800 people who took the Moderna and Pfizer shots, the one that did the mRNA modification. And they have found that the thing that it introduced, what they call a spike protein, which is supposed to wear out the body, which is why people got boosters, I guess. Don't quote me on that. Was supposed to go away, is not only not going away, but they're increasing and they're replicating within the body. So now people are trying to find medications and things to help get rid of spike proteins out of their system because there's no way to get rid of them. Have you guys heard about this?
I have. But I mean, you know the old saying, pharmaceuticals don't create cures, they create customers, right? So I'm sure both of those companies will come out with a solution that you can take that will help reduce that spike protein that they created.
Well, in the IT world, right? People always want to know who created all the computer viruses, like the computer antivirus companies, like, you know. That's who you do it. But yeah, so
Gotta stay in business.
yeah, so since
Stay in
Doug, since you were
business.
sick, it made me think of this, or potentially coming sick, made me think of it, and the fact that, um, these people got these shots, and obviously we know it didn't go through long-term study and all that stuff, which was why a lot of people had issue with it.
No.
They rushed it so fast, but now they're finding these spike proteins are saying. So people are looking for like homeopathic and natural like remedies, and I guess there's some people out there selling things of this get rid of spike proteins and all that stuff. So they're either capitalizing on it and trying to sell snake oil, or maybe it's a real thing. But if you got the Johnson Moderna, or not Johnson, but Moderna or Pfizer, you may have some extra spike proteins. I don't know what that means. I don't know if it means your hair spikes. I don't know if that means your hair loses. I'm not sure what the outward ramifications are, but yeah, it's pretty disturbing, but sadly something I think everyone thought was going to come, huh, Doug? Would you say that was you're tied to the medical industry?
I made a prediction.
Yeah.
I made a prediction that the people who didn't get shots, the purebloods, they would be in demand after problems started to arise with the shots. The same people who were vilified for not being conforming and getting in line and getting the shots. Now those people, now they might find, oh well, if you're type A blood, you can take a whatever from someone who didn't get it. Just a complete conspiracy theory on my part. And then you'll be a hero. Then you'll be hated if you don't give your blood up for this. So I don't know. It's terrible.
Maybe that's what they do. They'll go to pure bloods to try to dilute their spike protein blood.
Exactly. So
they're going to hunt us down. I'm still a pure blood.
Sounds like that movie, The Omega Man, with Charlton Heston, like in 1971 or something. He was immune to some biological thing, and he was the last man or something. And
it
anyway,
sounds very much like some 1970s or 80s like science fiction movie of like the last of the purebloods. You may have escaped,
right. Spike
but
protein.
you can't escape
protein.
The people with spike proteins. Yeah,
it'll turn you into a xenophobe or something. Yeah, I don't know, but that's what it reminds me of. A xenomorph. Xenomorph. Oh my gosh! But yes, I did read that. I heard about that, and that's just terrible. That's just a mess. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully they can find
God
some way.
bless those people.
But like Rob said, it'll probably be Pfizer, Moderna. Like, we've got it for $39.99. Get rid of your spike proteins.
Yeah,
we break the spiked off your proteins.
Covered by your insurance company at 10% off.
Yeah, that's it.
So.
But yeah, a lot going on, guys. Obviously, over the last week. I mean, it's a fun thing. President Trump back. He always talked about winning. And he got elected January 20th, and a lot of things started happening. People are like, wow, we're just winning nonstop. But a lot of those people were people on the right. But in the last week, even people on the left are like, man, you can't deny it. The guy took out Iran's nuclear capability, like flawlessly, like, not a plane put up, not a shot fired at us. B-2s just put in a crazy amount of ordnance. Totally, destroyed everything. Got them to come to peace. Got Congo and was it Nigeria? I think Congo and Uganda. Yeah. Congo and Uganda to come to peace, have a peace treaty. It's just all this stuff. Now the big beautiful bill has passed, and he'll be signed. I mean, this guy's on a roll.
Yeah, he's on fire. It's amazing.
Even the left, even CNN's like, you can't deny it.
Yeah.
Rob, there's some other stuff too that people aren't even seeing because of just the bills taking over.
The job numbers are going through the roof. Unemployment is down. I mean, there's a couple of things in there. The border crossings have like zeroed almost. I mean, we went from thousands and thousands per day to like 1 or 2 per day. And, you can't take those numbers and look at them and go, oh, well, it's not Trump. It's something other than Trump. I mean, the sheer, and I said this as soon as Biden got in and the numbers started ramping up. I said it wasn't so much the policy from Trump as much as it was the fear by people who normally cross illegally. They knew under the first administration, if they came across illegally, they were going to get picked up and sent right back. The Remain in Mexico was there. They just knew that was going to happen. Under Biden, there was no repercussions. They didn't have to worry about anything. They could just come across. They were given a cell phone and a hotel room and some cash and sent along their way. There was no fear of anything. So when Trump came back in, everybody went, "Oh shit, I don't think we can cross again."
Yeah.
And we didn't need Congress like Biden lied and said. Now, do we need immigration reform? Absolutely. We need Congress to do something. We need them to get off their butts and do something. But just the sheer fear that his policies have reduced those crossings to almost nothing.
Right. And just
95% drop. Is that what it was?
Yeah. I think May they had none released into the country, and the June number just came out of what they know came across, and it was like, not even not released, but just came across, and it was just crazy low that they know. I mean, that it came across, and now we have alligator Alcatraz.
I was just going to say that's another fear factor, Rob. I was going to bring that up. That's another element of that intimidation of, hey, I don't want to go there.
They should make Joe Rogan the warden of alligator Alcatraz, because you mentioned fear factor. Like they should have Joe Rogan be like, have competition, like reality TV competition of, if you want to be released and you want another chance, you're going to compete, and he's going to come up with all these crazy things to do, right? So
well, I'm sure he's got some input from others, but I mean, just the way he's been getting around things, right? So a lot of people look at the changing of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and what they don't realize was the whole purpose was Biden had put things in that stopped drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, and it specifically said Gulf of Mexico. So by changing the name, he no longer has to abide by that, and he can just drill in the Gulf of America. So people look at it and go, "Oh, he's just being an ass." Whatever. No, he did it to get around what was put in place before. And so by putting in this place in Florida, he didn't have to ship people off to El Salvador. He can ship them to Florida, and they're still on U.S. soil. And these activist judges can't say shit.
Yeah, just holding them until they get processed through and all that stuff. And it's in a place that, unlike New Orleans, they're not going to escape. And if they do, the chances of making it are very, very slim. It's I don't even know if there's a road that goes to it. If it's only flying.
I think there's one road.
I think there's one road in there.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm sure that they're keeping an eye on it. But yeah, I mean, it's just and then you got July 4th, 249th birthday of America tomorrow, right? We just had the 250th Army birthday, along with Flag Day, right? Because that happened a year before the country was founded. So we just had that, the parade. You had this No Kings protest that happened that were, a fizzle at best. There's a lot of hype because the media pushes it, but they were going to disrupt the parade in DC. They were going to do all this stuff. You didn't hear anything about it. And in fact, it's so funny when you look back at what the media covers, and even us, right? We know this, but we still can't help but get skewed by, prior to the Iran, the bombings in Iran and the B-2 bombings, right? It was all about the anti-ICE protests and the riots in LA and Portland, and then you started seeing, they're popping up in other cities. They're in Austin a little bit here, but there were really not much of anything. But the media was pumping them up like, it's going nationwide. And then we sent a couple decoy bombers one way and 7 the other way, and you didn't hear about another damn riot at all. Like, people just heard yesterday that the 150 of the National Guard are going off of active duty back to the state, and other people were like, "Oh, they were still deployed." Like, it overnight, everyone forgot and did not care about some people rioting in downtown LA. That fell off the national scope 100%. So no one cared about it or knew about it anymore. And it's amazing how quick you can shift what people are experts on social media and what they know about just by what's pushed out across the airwaves.
Well,
Yep.
part of that is the short attention span of most people, right? I mean, people have, especially Americans, we've got an attention span of, of a gnat. The other part of that is a good portion of people have started realizing, what you're seeing in the media is not as important as about what you're not seeing, right? So most people now that look at CNN will also go look at Fox, will also go, research a little bit more and start getting all this more information. Plus, with more and more podcasts, I mean, Joe Rogan has been around for a while. The Tim Pool and several others like that. Even us. Um, we're actually reporting on the things that people want to hear, and not selectively, cherry picking and only giving you a slice and giving, the opinions that the media has become.
Yeah, yeah. And you think the media would learn, right? After CNN had to pay Sandman, and after CNN had to pay
You would think.
Trump and all that stuff, and now you got Paramount, CBS having to pay possibly up to $30 million to them for it. I mean, just for how they edited the Kamala interview. I mean, you think that maybe someone along the line would be like, maybe we should just report the news and quit trying to skew it and that, because it's costing them a lot of money for just pushing the whatever narrative the left they think wants to hear or is going to gain viewers. I mean, the trust in the media, I think Congress has liked more, and that's saying
amazing.
Yeah.
Well, they did it to themselves. I mean, they've been doing it for decades. I mean, I remember my parents complaining about the news, 40, 45 years ago. About, maybe my dad was still pissed at Walter Cronkite about the whole Vietnam, it was a draw thing. I don't know. But anyway, when he made that call back in '68. But yeah, I've always, and then I look back too, guys. I remember my elementary school still having a slant to it. If you look back and you think about some things your teacher said and stuff like that, it was pretty, back when I was in the 5th grade, the icebergs. No, it was a new ice age. We were all going to freeze. Yeah. There'd be no gas. I would never be able to drive a car, and they were serious. Right. And why are you telling an 11-year-old kid stuff? I mean, anyway, whatever. But all this bleak outlook. But so it's nothing new. But I'm just glad it's being called upon more because, like you said, there's other media that can provide differing views and other information.
Right. Well, the other day we had this poll come out, right? And it goes along with what people believe. So they had a poll come out about being, patriot, proud to be an American. And of the people they polled, 92% of those that identify as Republicans say right now they're extremely or very proud to be American, which is awesome, right? And it kind of come leading up to July 4th, so on and so forth. Democrats are at 36%. Independents say it's 53, but Democrats are at 36. And if you go back, they do this poll every year. And if you go back and look at these polls during Biden's years or Obama's years or whatever, Republicans were still very patriotic. Like we're not, the Republicans aren't.
It's not conditional. It's not conditional.
Whoever's in charge, right? But now when it was the last time it was done during Biden's time, I forget where it was, but the Democrats were, I think the Democrats were at 62%. So they were at 62 in 2024. In 2023, they were 55, 52, 2021, 62. So they've been running 50 to 60 for the last 4 or 5 years, and now they're at 36%. Where Republicans, the lowest they've been is 84% in 2022. They've been 90, 92, and 92 is one of the lowest ones. But I mean, it doesn't matter who's in charge. You're still proud for this country because leaders come and go.
Right.
Right.
Well, conservatives see the world the way it is, right? I mean, they understand it, and most liberals see what they want the world to be, and they can't accept what it is, and they want to change it. The other thing with that is conservatives are more likely to serve in the military, right? And many of us have seen places, other countries, that we know we don't want to go to rather than here, and we know just how much better it is here than somewhere else, right? So there's a lot of play in that, a lot at play in that. So with conservatives, I think.
Well, when you talk about the media, right? Let's talk about this bombing in Iran, right? They happened they came out with this initial report, got leaked with low confidence that, they weren't sure how much damage they had got done. We all know the first reports on the battlefield are always wrong.
Right.
And, we don't have people, we don't have sensors down there. So, all they knew from what they saw from the sky, nobody's willing to put on paper within 12 hours that we totally wiped it out, until they could get some better intelligence through SIGINT and human on the ground or whatever. And boy, they jumped all over it. Look, it wasn't that big, and it wasn't effective, and all that kind of stuff. You put 14 30,000 pound bombs
in a hole
200 to 300 feet down a shaft.
That's right.
It's doing damage. You don't see it. I'm surprised
Exactly.
more of the mountain cave in, but I guarantee you, it'd take a rocket scientist to sit there and know that it did what it would, especially when you saw the aerial footage of the holes it went through, and it just went, how many they pumped into there. But, the media jumped all over that. Like, look, it wasn't that big of it wasn't that good. And Congress, the left side of Congress jumped on it. Well, now the reports are coming out. Iran came out and said, in the last day or two that, they obliterated it. Like, they've set us way back and that kind of stuff. Everyone's come out and said it. All the different, Israeli Mossad is probably on the ground. We know they were on the ground.
Probably in the hole. Probably in the damn holes. Yeah.
They were probably right there cooking marshmallows on the fire coming out of it. And now it's coming out, but you don't hear anything. Then the media's not reporting on it, right? Oh, don't.
It's not the narrative.
Yeah.
It's not validating and I think that I sent that article to you both. But there was this article even back in the first Gulf War, Troy, that when they would do these overhead satellite images, they weren't counting Iraqi tank kills unless the turret was off. So it's this false impression of like an overhead trying to do BDA from a satellite, especially something that went underground. They're just completely wrong. I guess they're expecting something, they're completely oblivious. They have no imagination. Well, what happened underground? Just back, they just can't. And just like they can't, 34 years ago, they can't imagine a T-72 being destroyed unless the turrets pop. It's like, no, the damn kinetic round will go right through the thing, and everything inside is no longer with us, and it's just sitting there.
The media tripling down, just like Hollywood's tripling down. I just don't understand. But one of the things that we are seeing is you're seeing fewer and fewer leaks. And the good thing is when there are leaks, they're finding them and they're punishing them, right? So you're seeing that which you didn't really see before. Where we still don't know who leaked the Dobbs decision, right? We still don't know that. Right. I don't know how we don't know that, but I think what this administration, because he had that 4-year gap and he had a chance to learn, I think they're probably honeypotting a lot of these things.
That's
right?
what I was. Yeah, and you said that. I totally agree
and so
with
they're probably catching a lot of these people with some honeypots. And the CNN, I wouldn't doubt if that was a honeypot. So.
Yeah, you got to think they probably leak some stuff to certain people as they zero in on, just to see what comes out, so they know where it goes. But so then one question I had. So we got this bill that was passed today. It's getting signed by the president tomorrow. Which I know how you guys felt. I was really doubtful that it was going to get through the House without there just seemed like there were a lot of holdouts and stuff. But I saw this thing that Jeffries went on. Minority leader went on at 4 a.m. and started talking and talked till about 1:30 and broke a record, but just to hold it up. And I kind of thought today when I saw that, I was like, these guys don't get it. That's why America hates Congress. Like, everyone knew the votes were there. It's going to get through. It's like you're having an effing tantrum like a baby, like a toddler. It's like, it's going to go through. You're holding up all these, not just the elected representatives, all their staffers, the people that support the House, right? All the sergeant at arms and all the administrative staff, everything else. No one can go home until it shuts down. Same with the Senate. The Senate's in session. There's a lot of support people that have to work. So here it is, July 3rd, and you're gonna make this go all day when you know that it's gonna get through. And I wonder how many people that turned sour against either Congress or the Democrats even more, because it's like, dude, they got the votes. Like, it just, I think they just don't get it. Somehow they think winning success.
And and they kind of played into Trump's hands, because if he signs it tomorrow on Independence Day, it just makes it more, more a bigger win for Trump. Oh, it's July 4th. Hey, 249 years. Oh, and I just signed it. No auto pen, my hand, and so,
Right.
and he'll hold it up. Auto pen free signature here. So that's what I was thinking of. It's like, to your point, Trey, yeah, they dragged it, but I think it almost plays right in. It's like, look, I'll take advantage of this now. Now it's going to be bigger, and wow, what a thing to do on July 4th. If he does it, I'd be shocked if he doesn't sign it tomorrow.
I think he is. Yeah.
Some of it's tribalism, right? I mean, so they have to, right? So they have to for their own constituents. And one of the things anytime I see whether it's a Jeffries or anybody get up and start making a name for themselves, the first thing I go do is look and see when that person's up for reelection. And 9 times out of 10, they're coming up in the next cycle for reelection. So they're trying to get their face seen. Josh Hawley, a Republican, he's infamous for this. You'll see him pop up and start making a lot of noise, and he's up for reelection. I'm not a huge fan of these big bills, right?
No,
I want single line item things
things.
because then you get to see how people really vote, right? Like I always use the example, money for Israel. Let's see who in Congress on both sides of the aisle, who approves and who doesn't, right? Call them out, because that's the surest way you're going to get to a defining thing that their constituents can see that they do or do not approve of, right? Or do not vote for. The other thing with this big beautiful bill, I think it's one of those necessary evils, right? He's got a very short period of time. We've talked about it on the show before how conservatives don't show up for midterms. So Trump is trying to take whatever he can get in the quickest amount of time that he can get it. Now, you're not going to get everything. You're not going to get everything you want. Is that bill perfect? No. Is any bill perfect? No. They're full of a whole bunch of other crap that's in there. But I think he was pushing so hard for this because he knows he's up against that 2-year clock, and he's got to get as much. And this doesn't go into effect until January anyway. So he can sign it tomorrow. None of the stuff in there goes into effect until January. So he's trying to get as much done in the quickest amount of time as he can. And the whole purpose for Congress is not to get everything that you want. It's to be able to, negotiate and concede on certain things. The thought should always be what's best for the American people, not what's good for me, right? Not what's good for,
They always say that they're there just for their constituents.
But
the reality is they have a voice for the American people. This isn't the Congress. This isn't the Continental Congress of 1776.
it is not.
It is. If you're not representing just your state, right? Their votes and what they do has a national effect, and they need to look at it. But a lot of them will, right? They'll obviously that's where a lot of the pork comes from, right? They worry about their own, making sure that military base stays open and their ships get built in their right. state for jobs and that kind of stuff. But yes, they should try to make sure their state's taken care of. They are representing their state, but they're at a national level. They're representing what's best for the entire country. There are people. I've read some of this bill and understand what's in it, but there are Democrats that are that know that their area is going to benefit from this and know that there's parts of this bill that are really good, but they are absolutely not allowed to vote for it. Right.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard, I don't know if you've ever watched her on Joe Rogan. She went in there and explained exactly how it works. Her first day in Congress, they were all on the floor, Republicans and Democrats, and all, laughing and joking, shaking hands and everything. And then they went into their parties. And she said that they flat out told them, I don't care if you like the bill. If it's a Republican proposed bill, you will vote no against it. You will vote no, and you will not vote for it if it's put forth by a Republican. And that's the tribalism that they get
right.
into.
And that's why parties are evil. That's why political parties are evil, in my opinion.
I can
because of that.
Yeah.
That's why George Washington didn't want political parties, because he was smart enough because they're going to be more loyal to their group than the country writ large, to
right.
your guys' point.
Because if that person doesn't go along with it, then they're not getting on any committee.
That's right.
They're not getting shown any favors. They're not going to get support by whatever the national committee is, Democrat, Republican National Committee. They're not going to get, endorsements when it comes time for reelection. They're going to be a one-termer and done, and they're just, they're just going to be a vote, right? So that's part of that compromise, but for them to go, it's this way. If it's proposed by the other side, then you have to vote against it. is taking it to the extreme, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, America, they love to tout bipartisanism when like one or two people, like for example, the Dems will say, look, 2 Republicans voted against this budget. We had a bipartisan support. No, you had 2 people that were, you know, could question. It was like, you know, but they tout that because they know, and the Republicans do it too, when they do actually have maybe a bipartisan sponsored bill, right? There is a Republican, Democrat both sponsoring it, co-sponsoring it, or they get multiple votes on both sides. They love to tout that because that's what the American people want. They don't want the tribalism. So in one part, they know that's what's popular. People want you to vote regardless of what letters behind your name, but they still do it. And again, they try to tout when one person switches over and they look, it's a bipartisan effort. That's not, dude. It's you got a rhino or you got someone that, you know, you got another Liz Cheney or something like that. Like, it's not a Republican just because that's what they called the Jan 6 committee. It was a bipartisan committee. It's like, you're kidding, right? These two.
Yeah, no.
But I would, at least for me, I would love someone who is a one-termer because they're punished because they're not a complete conformist. I mean, I think if the world worked right, if I got elected and, you know, I don't want to be on a committee if I have to sell my soul any more than I want to be on my HOA board right now. You know, you'd have to drag me kicking and screaming because, you know, I just don't want to do that. You know, I think you should be like a reluctant leader. Usually those are the best, right? Because you've been somehow someone's convinced you over enough time or whatever. Troy, you should do this because I know you don't want to because you're concerned about not being, you know, power mad and make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, all that stuff, you know, and that's exactly why you should be this, you know, that kind of thing. But that's to say you won't get a committee, but I'm like, man, if that's the price for doing the right thing, fine, be one and done. And for the rest of your life, you have the golden medical package or whatever you get when you
Well, they
serve,
shouldn't
whatever.
have that, but that's
they
a whole
shouldn't have that either. But I'm like, well, that's, you know, if my people.
Well, there's way around that too. Go ahead, Troy.
No, I say the reality is that they need term limits, right? That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
They need term.
Amen.
limits.
And they need something else to do with their lives, like the Continental Congress. They had lives, man.
There's a reason why Washington went back to Mount Vernon after 2 because, and it set the precedence for the most part, right, for the presidency. But you know, until Congress actually passed the law, but you know, it is they should have term limits where you go back to, you know, you go up, you do your civil service. Essentially what it is, right? You're doing your civil service, whether it's, you know, being on the school board or being a cop or whatever, you know, volunteer fireman, you're doing your public service. You just happen to be an elected representative and you do 3 terms, right? Or 2 terms, depending on what house you're in. And then you go back and you roll back into the society. Maybe you help advise the next person or whatever. But these 30, 40 year, you know, take Biden, for example, right?
Exactly.
Out of college, got into it, never worked a real job, did that their whole life, his whole life. And then, I mean, it's like, how do you talk about business? How do you make laws and talk about what it takes to affect business and lead people? You haven't led jack shit.
Nope.
You know, especially if you go right out of college, being a congressional intern or something and work your way into Congress, get elected. It's like someone being in academia. It's like going to college and being a professor, being in academia their whole life, and they're going to tell you what it's like in the real world.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to make your decisions about how to operate your business or run your life when all they've done is lived in the sterile world of college books. Right.
Well, I like what Marjorie Taylor Greene did her first couple of years in Congress, where she was like not put on board. I mean, she's kind of batshit crazy, but she was not put on specific committees. So what she did was she had all this free time. So if the way a lot of these votes happen, and people don't see this, right? So people are either voting by proxy or they can just kind of send in their votes ahead of time, and they just kind of run through the gambit of stuff that they're going to pass, right? Well, Marjorie Taylor would sit down in the seats and would call for a vote and would say, I want everybody here to vote for it on every bill that came through. And so they would have to come to the chamber and vote. And people started getting pissed off because she had all this free time and she was forcing votes on everything. And they're like, we got to give this woman something to do. So they started putting her on committees.
Yeah.
So there's ways around it, and I wish more people would do that.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's the bottom line. We need term limits. That would make this country and if you could do it where they get somewhere between 6 and 12 years, depending on
Hmm.
which one they were in, and then they're out, and you're going to get new ideas, new blood, and all that stuff. But you get in these areas that are solid blue or even solid red, and that's why I tell people, the devil himself could have moved to New York like Hillary did and run for Senate and win because you just got to have a D after your name.
Just have to have a D, you know.
She wasn't from New York or anything. Bought a house in Westchester and it's like boom, right now representing New York. She didn't know New York from anything. But and then that's why you see Barbara Boxer and all these others that just Nancy Pelosi. They get in these areas and no one's going to vote against them. And they're just going to accumulate this power. Yet they are completely out of touch with what their constituents, or even just the citizens of their state, even care about or want or need or anything. But
well, Anna Paulina Luna, who we've had on the show before,
yeah.
And I think Byron Donalds and one or two others out of Florida signed a commitment to their constituents that they would do two elections and then they would leave. Now I know Byron is holding up to that because he's leaving and running for the governor of Florida. Now I'll have to see what Anna Paulina is going to do, but we should start forcing our representatives to do those kind of commitments. So you're going to do two, and then you got to go. We're not sitting there. We're not going to pay for you to be up in Washington for the rest of your life.
In your life, yeah. So you die.
Yeah. The other way around that is to get your states to say, get your governors to say, all right, we're passing a law from our state that our representatives can do 2 terms and 2 terms only. Then you don't have to worry about the federal government. You can do that at the state level.
So the state can mandate.
I don't know if they can or not, but that's a way to try to push it.
That's a great idea.
State representative.
Yeah, the federal stuff. Yeah, I don't know if that will override.
Yeah, I don't know if that would do a federal thing. But I like the letter of commitment, and then you just call them on it if they don't go by it.
Yeah.
Right?
LOC, an LOC. Yeah, absolutely.
But, no, it's that's definitely something. But again, watching Jeffries talk and this and that and everything like that, it's like they just still don't get it, right? That's what drives. In fact, I saw a couple statements today that there were anonymously a couple of Republicans who were not sure, who were part of the ones that were not really sure going to sign up, said when they saw Jeffries starting to speak, that made their mind up, and they're like, yeah. It was literally so. If that's true, that had a counter effect.
Exactly. Yeah.
One of them said, I watched him for 30 seconds and I'm like, I'm signing this bill. Right. Just in spite. So it may not have. And right now the Democrats, the last thing they need is any more shakiness in their leadership because their DNC can't. I mean, they are in full downward spiral. I mean, nobody wants to be part. The DNC is leaderless. They don't have any vision. They don't have any candidates. They threw out little Hoggy Boy. And
they threw him out, didn't they?
Yeah,
that was very interesting.
They cannot get their act together.
And look at that mayor candidate for NYC.
I mean, look at that. He wins, and most of them come out against him.
Unbelievable.
And I don't. And then you got Cuomo. I mean, that's how bad Cuomo's hated. They'd rather pick a socialist, in New York City, which is a heavy Jewish population. They'd rather pick a anti-Semite Muslim, Semite Muslim, communist over
elitist.
Yeah,
on top
of it all. Staying in it, and he's going to run as an independent along with Eric Adams, and then this guy, and so, that's going to be I don't know. That's going to be a just get your popcorn. That's going to be one.
What a poop show.
Well, when you start talking about seizing grocery stores and seizing the supply chain,
that's communism, man.
Yeah,
that's exactly that's what I signed up to go against.
And freezing rent hikes, no hiking of rent in New York City.
Exactly. It's just unbelievable, man.
Yeah. It's
but we need you to move out, Troy, and then we need to build up a fence all the way around the state, or at least the city.
We tried. Every year someone
nobody gets to leave.
You need to get out of there, Troy.
You voted for it. You get to live under it for the next X amount of time. You have to stay there. You don't get to leave.
We're going to be leaving, but every year someone in the state assembly puts a bill forward to segregate the two apart and keep New York City They actually, the last couple have been, upstate New York would be called New Amsterdam, and New York City would be New York, and that would be it. It would be just, some have talked about making it like a District of Columbia, like, kind of a district. Others would be like, nope, that's the state of New York, just the 5 boroughs, and the rest of the state would be, New Amsterdam would be the name of it, and it would be very red. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
The U.S. government, besides the crazy taxes that they charge, and you pay even more taxes if you're living in the boroughs, on top of the state taxes, and the taxes they collect from all of us, the U.S. government gives New York City $8 billion a year in support. $8 billion in support for the city through different mechanisms and stuff like that. It's like, it's almost like giving the money they give to Harvard and Columbia.
Exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
why?
What do they charge in tuition? Like, why do they need federal money, federal funds? And why does a city need federal funds? They have everything under there. You breathe and you get taxed in the city.
Especially private schools like that. Those aren't state schools. Yale, and those aren't like,
Right.
Texas State University or the University of Arkansas. They're not state schools. So why are they getting any?
Well, and they have
government?
an endowment larger than most,
Exactly.
than New York's budget. I mean, they've got an endowment that can last for a very, very long time.
How does most other countries' GDP?
It's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And let's not forget Yale and Harvard. Those are all originally like schools you went to become a minister. And that was why they set them up, because they wanted people
Notre
to
Dame?
read the Bible,
Yeah.
and and then spread the gospel. And now,
Yeah.
Now look at them. It's unbelievable.
Notre Dame was very Catholic school,
Yeah.
right? That was your Catholic school right there.
Yeah.
Now they're just racist, anti-Asian schools.
That's right.
Anti-Asian.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
But no, it's anyways, I don't know how we got on the schools part, but I think we just got on the taxes part, right? So yes, it is just crazy when I heard the other day that $9 billion goes from this $9 billion in federal taxpayer money goes to, so you're paying for New York too.
That's good. That makes me feel,
I'm
that
double
motivates me, man. Oh,
double
boy.
paying.
Yeah, you are. You're getting, oh man. I
But
can't use that word on this show. What you're getting, Troy, living there, man. We gotta liberate you, man. We gotta send in the Marines to liberate you and your family, get you out of
good.
there.
I'm gonna self-deport.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna self-deport. I said no one's giving me $1,000 to do it, but I'll make that back from the savings of taxes.
Absolutely.
The Yale endowment is reportedly at $41 billion.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Rob is still producing while he's also.
He is still unpaid too.
$41 billion. Wow.
Yeah.
Rob should have a stipend coming out of the big beautiful bill for what he does, man. He should be getting some trickle down fundage.
Yeah. So, and also this Mandami, this New York City mayor, wants to socialize the entire housing market in New York City. Socialize the entire. I mean,
it will look like East Germany versus West Germany.
Yes.
Is what it'll turn into.
That's exactly
New York
what
will turn into East Germany.
I was talking to a good friend of mine the other day. We both he's Doug knows he's a pilot, flies all the time. He's based out of JFK, and he's up there all the time. I travel all the time. My one son that travels for work does there, and he and I were talking about. I was like, New York would be such a great place. When we first moved here, we would go 2-3 times a year because it was just like it was a quick little flight. It was fairly inexpensive, and go see a Broadway show and go spend. And we would do that. We do that a couple times a year when we first moved here in the early 2000s. Now, man, I have no desire to go there. I mean, if I have to go there for work, that's one thing, but no desire to go there for like a fun-filled weekend. I just really none, because you're literally it's like strolling through downtown Baghdad to check out the market. I mean, you're on edge the whole time, not knowing what punk is going to come up behind you and hit you in the head, or try to steal something from you, or shank you, or whatever. And the entire place just smells like the worst weed in the world. And right now in the summertime, it smells like weed and piss everywhere.
My oldest daughter lives in the Bronx, and my wife goes every year to visit her, and I refuse to go.
Oh, man.
It's just
But
it's horrendous. I
I
mean,
can't tell if you're talking about New York City or Austin, Texas, Troy. It's hard.
Yes.
It's hard to tell because we have the same. You know, we've been here. We've been back 24 years, and probably we haven't gone downtown.
I've gone downtown more than you.
And you have. We saw Sammy Hagar in 2019 down there, and that's probably the first time we've been downtown in, oh my God, decade, or we don't even live in Austin anymore, but still, it's the same thing. It's like
I know when I
just,
come in for work, I'm down there for work stuff, and I'm telling you all about it. I'm like, you're like,
I'm like, no, I'm up here I'm up here in Wilco, man. It's a little freer up here.
yep,
It
yep, it
doesn't
is.
smell so bad.
Yeah, Williamson County's nice, but the yeah, it is. You're right. It is. It's gotten better in Austin, a little bit better, but
I'll rely on you. You be my recon. You be my
yeah.
eyes and ears. I'll
Well,
stay here. I'm gonna stay
because
up here in the CP.
because they had that grassroots effort and made it where they couldn't just let the homeless be everywhere, and Abbott came in and helped hose down the place.
The
And they
state.
cleaned it up.
Yep. The
Yeah,
state
they
had
cleaned
to
it up,
take it over. Yep.
but it was definitely on track to be the San Francisco of Texas for sure.
Well, some of that city council out of Austin also ended up in Washington. Greg Kazar, the communist, he's now in Washington. I don't know how the hell he got from the Austin City Council to Washington, but because anybody that voted for that idiot should lose their voting rights.
Yeah. Don't forget about Lloyd Doggett. So
Oh man, that he's another one of those that just pops up only when it's election time. I mean, you never see that guy.
Dude, he's been here since he got elected in 1994. I remember that election. He's been here ever since.
And he's worth like $96 million.
Yeah, it's amazing how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Been a lifelong politician and is worth several $1 million.
And
Like Nancy Pelosi.
Need to doge these people. Doge.
100,000 a year, whatever. Probably not that crazy. Yeah. Well, how does that happen for sure? But well, yeah, I was I know how he got to Washington. He probably went there working for the Biden administration, but
Oh, $29.7 million is what Lloyd Doggett's worth.
Yeah, and
He
he must follow Nancy's stock tips.
Probably.
That probably follows her stock trades. But yeah. So Doug, what do you think about where things are going into July 4th? Looking back over the last couple, seeing how we're going into this one, what's your just general feelings on the state of the country?
I'm feeling a lot better, Troy. We were just having a similar conversation at dinner time here a little while ago, and I'm like, Trump's probably the best president in my lifetime, and I remember Reagan well, and I've got a lot of good things to say about, but you just like getting things done, and kind of like making you feel like there's hope again, not just but for your kids and stuff. And looking for, I don't know, hopefully this isn't just a flash in the pan, right? Just a respite, just a respite from it going back to what it was 4 years ago. And I'm concerned of the arc of history, right, of this country over the last 60, 80 years. But, these right turns, these abrupt right turns every once in a while, I think are awesome. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I like, the stock market's up. Some of us want to retire someday. So that'd be nice. I've been working for 40 years.
Working for the man.
Working for the man for 40 years, as has Stacy. So you're just kind of going, man, it's been a long time. But no, I think I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, I think, just today, I think you touched on patriotism. We went to HEB today in the morning, and there was like employees there wearing like red, white, and blue hats that had like makeup on and stuff. And I was like, man, I don't remember the last time I've seen that. Maybe like 1984 or something. I'm like, what? And I don't know. And in our neighborhood, there's a ton of flags. And I know we're a little probably different because there's a lot of retired military here and things like that. But man, I'm a little bit more than cautiously optimistic for how things are going. I mean, I don't want to be.
Any 4th of July parties in the neighborhood this weekend?
Yeah, we're having our own. We'll have
Okay.
the whole family over here, and the good news is my doctor said I should eat more red meat, Troy. So I've been eating more. So I've been cleared.
Okay.
Yeah. So, because I don't have any cholesterol anymore. So they said, hey, now it's too low. So now you need
Yeah.
now you need to eat meat again. And oh, okay,
Steaks and
cool.
burgers. Yes, there you go.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Not gonna go crazy, but so yeah. So we have hot dogs. I will be enjoying a hot dog. So see, things are looking up, Troy. My
Yeah.
diet, my
You're
diet's
winning. You're winning just like Trump is right there.
dude.
Yeah,
I know the pendulum went too far this way. Now we're kind of bringing it back to the right, just a little bit. It's
that's it.
awesome.
That's it. Well,
So I
I'm
think things
sure
are
I'm
looking
sure
up.
your party there will be good. Little different pride than from your old neighborhood. I'll just leave it at that. There's some parties going on there. But
That
yeah,
was down in Austin. See the corrupt Austin, Travis County. Yeah,
yeah, a
exactly.
lot of pineapples there. Yeah. But
The blue balls and the fountains. Don't forget about
yeah,
that.
I wasn't sure if you were going to mention that. People would
I
not.
have to mention that.
Yeah.
I have to.
What about you, Rob? What do you? How's your feeling? What are you seeing up in your neck of your new? I say new neck of the woods. You've been there for a
Right.
minute.
Yeah. Well, I mean, today is the last day. Somebody's going to have all 10 of their fingers, right? So somebody's probably going to lose a digit tomorrow. But no, here, I mean, I live, as most know, I live in Arkansas. It's a very red state. I also live way out in the country. So
Great governor too.
there's so there's fireworks. I mean, fireworks started 3 days ago here. The fireworks stands were up last month, like the middle of the month, already selling. And right up the street from me, not even a mile and a half, there's a little country store, and behind them is this pasture. And every year they do what they call the blast, and they set off a whole bunch of fireworks, and people just park, and it's free. People just park in the field, and they have music, and they set off fireworks for probably good 30, 40, 45 minutes. And they take donations, and the donations go to a charity. And so I have a feeling that it's probably going to be pretty big this year. There's a couple of other fireworks displays around here that are going on, but I mean, to what Doug had said, you are seeing more people wearing red, white, and blue. You are seeing especially here in the red state of Arkansas, I see a lot of Trump hats, a lot of Trump shirts, a lot of that type of stuff. But I think there's a lot more excitement and optimism, I think, going into this year.
I
Right.
don't. I'll just tell you guys. Since June 14th, his birthday, I've had my Trump flag out underneath my American flag out there, which is you guys have seen my picture of my big Trump flag. It's been flying non-molested out there, just flying high, just since his birthday on the 14th. I thought, oh, I'll keep it up for one day for his birthday. As I left it, I'm like, oh, let's see. I'm like, I'm still up there. No one's saying anything, but
Let it fly.
my neighbors know. They've always said that, hey, if anything goes down in this neighborhood, we're all running to your house. I'm like,
That's right. You're
I'm
the
like, you better
arsenal.
know the
You're the
running
arsenal.
password. I'm like, you better know the running password because you could hit claymores at the door. I'm just saying. I don't know. But
It's right.
I'm
The running
joking.
password.
I don't have claymores in the state of New York. That would be.
And I'm sure the password is something that liberals can't say, like, what is a woman, or something like
That's
that.
right.
Yeah.
The password's probably complicated like that for them.
Yes.
Men have a penis, women have a vagina. That's the running password.
Yeah.
Just
That's
keep
a lot.
saying that.
Hey, you better say it quick, Jack.
That's right. Just keep saying it.
But
oh my gosh.
no, I agree. I see it. We see it in the businesses, right? We've seen it now. For example, let's pick Target, right? Super liberal company. You go to any Target, and you'd go to like back in their book section by electronics. And I've always noticed this the last couple of years. And all their featured books, employee picks, Target picks, were always like every book by Obama or Hillary or Biden or whatever, right? It was like, I'm like, wow, no one likes any conservative written books. But and they had their Pride stuff after we just came out of Pride Month. They had other big Pride displays. Target had no Pride displays. They had patriotic stuff by mid-month. You see businesses now dumping all the DEI stuff. They're realizing that none of that paid off, and they're not going to get canceled and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, sadly I had to run to Walmart yesterday and near my house, and I went in there and just like the front row of like all the shirt stuff, nothing but patriotic stuff, all that kind of stuff. So I saw no Pride stuff in there, even when I went there in June. So, and I was in there in one a couple years ago, and it was like they were just the center aisles were nothing but Pride things.
Mhm.
So I've just kind of noticed that, like, definitely just the American retail industry has shifted to just being more and not kowtowing to whatever the woke narrative is of the day because they thought that they had to, or else people get mad at them. So,
Well, we talked about the media and Hollywood doubling down, and I mean the only thing I can think of is like a Walmart or a Target or something like that. I mean they can turn the ship real quick, right?
right, right.
Bud Light. We know it took Bud Light a little while. I guess Hollywood, because it takes a year and a half to make a movie or a TV show or something. Maybe they just haven't gotten the message. Maybe eventually we'll see some of that stuff filter out. But I mean Hollywood's still putting out garbage. I mean still putting out woke bullshit.
Yeah.
So hopefully that stuff will eventually filter out.
That's why we just like to watch the classics, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Well, to your point, Rob, my daughter said that there's this, like a Japanese anime movie that just came out called, oh God, what's it called? K-pop Demon Hunters. So that's all you need to know. It's a cartoon. They're a K-pop group and they hunt demons. I watched 20 minutes of it. But anyway, my point is, apparently that made more money than the latest Pixar movie they just put out last week.
Oh, that Elio one or whatever they
did.
Yeah.
Well, I read an article that a good number of the employees that helped make that, when they started stripping some of the stuff out of it, quit. I'm like, you guys need to understand this is an 80-20 issue, and you're on the 20 side. And the majority of America is simply tired of the bullshit. They're just tired of it being shoved down their throats. They just want normal, and none of that you've been shoving down their throats is normal. And
look, and they see more and more of it all the time. They saw it with Jussie Smollett. They saw it with this accusation, that accusation. They saw it now where 80% of the people feel that they were lied to by the White House about Biden's capabilities. Like 85% of Americans are like, nah. They were not being honest about it, because everyone saw it with their own eyes. I mean, when you have someone carrying the water for you, like the media, and able to spin your narratives and put it the way you want, then people just went along with it, like we talked about at the start. But people saw it on that debate, and they saw it ever since then. And now it's all coming out. People are the books are coming out, and it's funny that whether it be people complaining about the vaccines back in the day, and people saying, oh, how dare you say that you're anti-vaxxer, and now we have the issues that we have, and everyone's going, all these people are having heart issues. Oh, maybe there's some truth to that. Oh, Biden was not in control of his faculties, and the auto pen did 90%. Oh, maybe there's some truth to that. I mean, it's like, not only is Trump winning, but the conservative American is winning, who has been lambasted and dragged through the mud for the last 4 or 5 years, because now it's all coming home to roost, and everyone's realizing, wow, they were right, or what they said was right. Go back to when Trump was campaigning the first time and said that Obama was wiretapping Trump Tower.
And they said he's crazy.
Everyone's freaked. Oh my God, how could it? But then it came out that he was right. That's exactly what happened. I mean, at some point,
if you're not a conspiracy theorist at this point, you should be.
You really need to be.
Yeah, and two, you're crazy if you're not.
It's hard to be when everything comes. All the conspiracies keep coming true.
Right.
There's no conspiracies to have because they're all true.
If it's true, it's not a conspiracy.
Right. So it's like it's hard to be a conspiracy. You got to find a new
theory. It's fact.
But but as you get ready to wrap up, one thing that I'm kind of nervous about is I feel like whatever goes up has to come down.
Right.
And I mean, I really feel like since the 20th of January, it's been nothing but I see old guys I know at church and guys at my gym, and they just walk up to me and slap me in the back and go, "We keep winning, winning, winning." I mean, that's what they say all the time. And I'm like, it's like everything. And it's just like, what's going to bottom out? Like, is there really a real scandal that's going to rock? Is something the bottom going to fall at somewhere? Because right now everything's going up and to the right. It is just climbing, winning. And I kind of have this fear, like, I just feel like there's something. He just can't be this successful all the time.
Well, I think he's just going to run out of things to do, right? I mean, he's going to get it so far, and then we're just going to see a lull, and it's almost going to be like a lame duck where nothing happens, right? We're not losing, but we're not winning anymore.
I don't know. So, I mean, who saw Uganda and Congo having a peace deal? Who even knew they were at war?
Exactly.
Nobody. Right. So how many other things out there is he working behind the scenes that he doesn't talk about?
51st state.
you know. Yeah. Oh, my friends and coworkers in Canada, we're always messing with them. We're like, hey,
Greenland.
we know you don't have Friday off, but you may next year, you know. But,
That's
yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
But it's just like what other stuff is he out there working? I mean, the other day he called
Greenland.
tariffs and all that kind of stuff. Shut down negotiations with Canada over digital tariffs, and next day they removed them. I mean, it's just again, he bombed Iran back into negotiating a ceasefire with Israel. I mean, it's just I don't know what he can stop. I think there's no shortage of stuff to work on.
He got NATO to start contributing more money.
5%.
Yeah.
5%.
Calling him Big Daddy, loving him, and all. I mean, it's just like, man, it just keeps on coming. But anyways,
the way things should be. Yeah.
It's going to be a great July 4th, a great Independence Day, our 249th birthday of our country.
Amen.
And the start of he is actually in Ohio right now at the Iowa State Fair, I think, or Iowa something, kicking off America 250 event. This is the kickoff of the next year's celebration as we get up into the 250th birthday next July 4th. So
awesome. It's going to be huge.
Events huge, not like China, not China at all. But we're going to go for the next year. But it's and who would have thought all this could never have happened for the fraction of a couple millimeters.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. One head turn to the right. Yeah.
It could have stopped all of it. But how scary that is, what a little action what the impact can be on our country.
Yeah.
But
amen.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, that hour flew by fast.
It really did. It always does.
Yeah. So great seeing you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful Independence Day.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Kobe couldn't make it tonight, but we know he's going to be celebrating down in the very southern studio he's at. He gets a lot of Americans down there this time of year. So, good to have you guys. Good to see you. Be safe. Keep all 10 digits.
That's right.
And eat all the red meat you can take. There you go. And
amen, brother. It's beautiful.
Hope you're feeling better, Doug.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. I'm just hanging in there. I'm drinking my water. There you go.
Yeah. I think there needs to be a little brown water in your future. That'll make you feel a lot better.
It's tomorrow. You're so right. We'll just call it cough syrup.
That tequila will get that out. Will kill the parasites.
It's gonna kill the germs.
It'll kill the parasites.
For medicinal purposes only.
Yes,
so,
that's it.
That's awesome.
It worked back in the 1800s.
That's right.
And look, we're still here. We turned out okay.
Dr. Rob and Dr. Troy, Stacy, they ordered me to. This is doctor's orders. I got to drink this.
Since you live in Texas, I think that TX medicine, that TX cough medicine, TX branded will work just fine for you.
Good stuff. That's good stuff.
All right. Well, hey, you guys have a great night. And have a safe weekend. Same with everyone else who's watching and listening. Hope you have a great Independence Day and celebrate this great country and everything that we have because of it.
Amen. God bless. Thanks, guys.
We'll see you all later.
Oops.